And that's for me. I can't go back to that mindset of being overwhelmed with what other people think about food. What are other people's opinions about food? I can't live that life because it led me down a path that was unhealthy and full of turmoil.
Michelle, how did you find Carnivore?
Hi, Dave. It's nice to see you again. This is my second interview with you, so I'll just lightly give an overview of how I came into this way of eating. I was in middle stages of premenopause and gaining weight rapidly. I was very uncomfortable, very unhealthy, and concerned that I was just going to keep gaining weight. I was at a size 18, 16, 18, and my clothes were getting too snug for me. And that's kind of terrifying. With that just kept gaining and getting bigger and bigger. So I had heard about carnivore for a while and never really considered it a serious thing until I started delving more into Jordan Peterson and his daughter, Michaela Peterson, and looking into what aspects of the carnivore lifestyle improved for them. And I thought about it for a long time and did some YouTube research, so to speak, and finally just decided to do it. I was going on vacation and in a few months, and I didn't want to look really bad in my vacation pictures, which is super vain, but whatever. So my husband and I did it and started to have results pretty instantly. Like within the first few weeks, we were noticing quick weight loss and satiety that didn't exist in a way that I had ever experienced with a way of eating before. So that was unique and worth exploring. And so I started in August, the end of August of 2022. And I remember telling people because they would ask, like, what are you doing? You look great. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm eating just meat and, gave up the vegetables. And they'd be like, oh my God, that's not okay. You're going to get sick. And I remember it was concerning. Like, I didn't know if I was, doing a bad thing to myself, but I was willing to keep going because I was seeing really positive results. But what was going to be the long-term health benefits, if there were any, I wasn't sure if I was going to be damaging myself in some way. But again, I was only doing that to me, and my husband was willing to participate for a while. And so it has been almost 3 years now. And yeah, I still eat carnivore. I still eat meat and eggs and some dairy. And I've been to the doctors for appointments and checkups and things along this journey. And I've had some interesting results. I haven't had anything negative as far as labs or blood pressure or cholesterol. And I don't need to go to the doctors frequently. So I haven't been in about 9 months. The last time I went was for just a mammogram update because I was considered, they wanted to keep a watch on me because I had really tender tissue. And so they just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything developing. And so they'd been watching me consistently for some time. And there was my last appointment, they finally said, oh, there's been no change. There's nothing wrong. And, we don't need to see you every year now. And so, and I remember saying to the technician, like, oh, I've lost quite a bit of weight. So I don't think I have the same tenderness anymore because of the weight loss. And she said, well, it's also because you're old. You reach a certain age and things become less sensitive. And I was just like, I don't think that's it. Whatever. My interactions with doctors has been comical at best. So I just dismiss it. It's whatever.
Wow, that person's next job is like negotiating agreements and diplomatic ties and stuff, I guess. She's
I do find it like backhanded compliments, right? It's like, oh, well, you're having this health benefit, but you're old, so maybe you're not. So it's like, whatever. She did end up complimenting me that I still have a cycle at my age. It's like, well, not great.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
So l- as you started this, I mean, it's been nearly 3 years. So
yeah.
our anniversaries are actually quite close together. So as it's been nearly 3 years, have you found along the way that the original purpose was weight loss and feeling better for that vacation and that kind of thing, but
Hmm.
the kind of weight loss side of it's taken a bit of a back seat to the other benefits you're getting?
Absolutely, absolutely. I just feel so good, and I feel like clear-minded and energetic, and I mean, not like the Energizer Bunny. I'm not 12, but there's things that I wouldn't have enjoyed being tasked with that I do enjoy now. And there were things that I had done as a younger person that I couldn't do for quite some time. I mentioned in our previous talk that I used to really love to run, and I had to give that up because I developed arthritis in my foot. And then with the weight gain, it made it really, really hard to continue to run, even if it was a short distance. But since then, since my weight loss, I've participated in a few 5Ks with my family, and the last one we did was actually a Santa run where everyone was dressed up like Santa, had beards and stuff, and we did a 5K together. And we all check our time, what our stats are as far as like your age and your timing. And I'm always right in the middle of the pack. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. Because before Carnivore, I would have been at the end of the pack. And here I am in the middle. And I'm not like training hard or anything. It's just, I'm just able to sustain a run and not die and be in the middle of the pack. And so it's actually been, it's been wonderful being able to participate in those physical activities that I enjoyed so much when I was a little bit younger, and to be older, be an old lady and get to do it is great. And then I really do enjoy the ones that have a theme because they're more fun. And life's hard enough. Let's have some fun.
So yeah, do you find that as you get closer to that 3-year mark that people around you are kind of more accepting of the way you're eating, or just don't comment on it anymore? Or
It's like a mix, Dave. It's a real mix. Some people don't know because they just aren't around me enough to know, and they'll learn if we're at an event and I'm not eating something, and if they want to ask, they'll ask. But a lot of times, my close circle, they all know, and so they're like, "Oh, we're going. Let's get together to eat." Michelle's options are these 5 places, and that's it. And they don't care. I mean, if they care, they don't say that they care. They seem to, be very happy for me and understanding of what I need in order to be able to like hang out and have a time of breaking of bread together, And so they seem to be willing to accommodate me, and that's fantastic. And there are times where like people just don't say anything, and I think it's because there's like whispers of other people have said, "Oh, by the way, she eats carnivore," So they just don't say anything. They're just like kind of noticing what I put on my plate, and they're like, "Oh, okay, she eats carnivore, okay." So yeah, it's just a mix, and it's never always the same reaction every time. But I have a friend who she was like, Michelle, I don't know anyone in real life who eats this way except for you. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, that can't be. You must know someone in real life who eats this way besides me. Because I know lots of people in real life. But then I was like, no, actually, I don't. I know lots of people on YouTube who eat this way. but not in real life. And so she was encouraging me to like start an Instagram page and just share what it is that carnivore is for me. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I might as well. So I started an Instagram page. And it's funny because I didn't really want to be anyone's like coach or guru because who am I, right? I'm just a person who reversed damage by changing the way I eat, right? But anyone can do that. Anyone. And so, but I did create the Instagram page and I like take pictures of my food and it can be sporadic. Like sometimes I leave it alone for a few weeks and then sometimes I'm like on it every day because, oh yeah, let's not forget to take pictures of this and we'll share it. And yeah, yeah.
So speaking of the food, how what's your menu like day to day?
It's pretty consistent. I eat twice a day. Sometimes I'll have a third meal if it's like the weekend and I start my eating window earlier. But generally, it's just twice a day, and I eat a big lunch, and it can be eggs and like leftover meat from the night before, or bacon and eggs. It's usually eggs with something. And I like to have multiple meats if I can. If I can have chicken with beef, oh, that's good. If I can have pork belly, I love pork belly. It's my favorite thing in the air fryer. I just absolutely love it. I make a lot of tri-tip. I find that financially speaking, tri-tip has the most bang for its buck. So I can cut it and cube it and, or just as a roast, cook it up. And it seems to go the furthest with my family. And so I buy tri-tip a lot. Ground beef, I use it if I'm going to make tacos and my family likes tacos too. So I usually get it, where I can just like put the cheese and sour cream on it. It's taco bowl for me. Um, we still celebrate like holidays. So St. Patrick's Day is, corned beef. My husband is never a fan of corned beef. He doesn't think it tastes very good, and you know, it's just not for everybody. So I will boil it and because you're boil meat, right? And and then take it and throw it in a pot, not a pot, like a pan, and get that char on it, like carnitas, because that's how you do carnitas, and it'll have like that hard texture instead of that mushy texture. And so we'll have tacos, corned beef tacos, and yeah, we'll have things like that for the holidays. And I just recently made carnivore ice cream for the first time. Not, I don't know that that will be something I do all the time because it's a lot of dairy. But I, yeah, I'm just eating within my window of did it have a mom and a dad?
Right, right. And has your husband stuck with it over these almost 3 years?
No, he's a carbivore.
Right.
So he did. I guess I did nag him a little bit. So when January came around and I was like, "It's World Carnivore Month. Come on, come on!" So he did. He did it for January, and he lost about 15 pounds in January, and then he's a carbivore again. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
But, yeah, he's very supportive of you doing it, yeah?
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, when mom's in a good mood or when mom is healthy, it affects the rest of the family. It's like when you have a newborn and the mom hasn't slept and it makes everyone miserable, right? It's the same. If mom is miserable, everyone feels it. So, yeah, trying not to be miserable.
Right, right. So, looking back now, how do you feel about, all the reports that are out there that, everyone repeats ad nauseum,
Yeah.
that you talked about that red meat causes cancer, red meat
I
causes all
think
these diseases. How do you feel now?
I think you have to filter what you are willing to accept. And I think that's true all the time, right? You're always going to hear two sides of anything that is presented to you as truth will have two sides. And I've decided to filter out the noise of red meat is negative and red meat is bad for you. I've seen too many positive results of people, especially with your show, Dave. So many people, just like me, who have had such transformations in their life, in their mentality, in their emotional state by changing the way that they eat. Why would I ever go back? There's a story in the book of John, and Jesus is by the pool of Bethsaida, and there's a lame man. He's been lame for a long time, and he's by the pool of Bethsaida because there's stories that if the water starts to stir, the first person in the water gets healed. And Jesus sees this man there who's clearly unable to stand up. And he says to him, "Do you want to be made well?" Like, a weird question to ask someone who's laying on the ground, right? Is probably dirty. Like, it's obvious that he can't walk. And to ask someone who's disabled if they want to be healed is almost insulting, but it's really not. What he's asking him is, if I give you the opportunity to be made well, will you walk in that? Will you walk in that transformation? Right? And I feel like I've been given that opportunity. And when that man was healed, Jesus said to him, "Now go and sin no more." And yeah, he was saying, like, don't rob anyone, but he was also saying, don't go back to that mindset that you had of being that beggar on the ground. And that's for me. I can't go back to that mindset of being overwhelmed with what other people think about food. What are other people's opinions about food? I can't live that life because it led me down a path that was unhealthy and full of turmoil. And so if I'm going to live a life that's transformed, I need to stick to that. And that means I can't go back to the person I was before I change the way that I eat. I just can't. And I don't see a reason that benefits anyone for me to ever go back to that person ever. So,
Yeah. Um, it's I find the new life, of eating this way is so starkly different. Oh, I'm putting up emojis on the screen. It's so starkly different to before in that you just don't have that constant kind of panicked feeling around
no,
food.
yeah,
You're not constantly thinking, I've got to go and eat. I've got to go and do
yeah.
what's in the fridge."
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean, I know what's in the fridge. So I already know what's there, and I plan. Like, in order to not go back to who I used to be, that also means I need to plan, right? I can't get caught in the, I didn't plan. I didn't take anything out of the freezer. I don't know what's in the fridge. That's a part of it. That's a part of staying accountable. Is being prepared for tomorrow. I don't necessarily need to know what's going to happen in 2 weeks in my freezer or my fridge, but I need to be prepared for today and tomorrow. And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking people to be accountable for that stuff. And I think it's wrong to assume that we should put all of that on everyone else. It's you start with you change you, and then other people can glean from that influence or not, but you change you're responsible for you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so if you're in a situation where maybe you're out and maybe you go out with friends to one of those 5 restaurants, and you see some of your friends eating a dessert after their meal or something like that, is that connection, that kind of emotional connection to that kind of sweet food or the carby food, is that broken for you now?
I would say it's like dotted lines. It's not necessarily broken. I still know what it tastes like, and I'm still like aware of how delicious that would taste on my taste buds, right? But I don't want it. I don't want them to give it to me. I appreciate that they keep it on their plate and not put it on mine. Um, I I serve a church, and I'm around kids and stuff, and they offer me their sweets all the time out of the goodness of their little hearts, right? And I just say, "Oh, I really appreciate that you thought to give that to me, but I'm just going to have to say no right now, okay?" And they accept that. They're like, "Okay." It's very, very sweet that people want to share what they think is special. And it is special, but it's also the other side of that is it puts me in a toxic state. It makes me sick.
Yeah, so, like, taking the example of the kids to, like, adults where you are out eating or something like that, I feel like a lot of the time when people do offer things to you that maybe you don't wanna eat or whatever, it's not like I don't feel it's necessarily a pushy thing. I feel it's more like they almost feel guilty because it's like because they don't
They're
have our
eating it in front of
perspective.
you.
Yeah, that they don't have our perspective, so they
Hmm.
feel like this is so enjoyable. I feel bad that I'm enjoying this and Michelle
Hmm.
isn't or Dave
Yeah.
isn't, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's not it doesn't come from a bad place, right? It
Mm-mm.
actually comes from a good place. It's just yeah, we have to be able to kind of say, "Yeah, not right now, not for me at the moment."
Thank you so much. That is so thoughtful. No, thank you. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
Hmm.
so, um, your plan is to stick with this going
Again,
forward?
Dave, I can't see a reason that I would ever want to be that person I was before. There's like, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I have just benefited immensely in changing the way that I eat and in ways that I just couldn't anticipate. And I just think that if I was going to go back to that way, that lifestyle, I would be putting myself right back into the torture chambers of premenopause. And there's just no way I should expect a different result if I'm going to eat that way. Everything would go back to the same. And I don't want that. I want a different outcome in life. I I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be a sick-minded person. I want to be healthy. And that doesn't mean I won't get sick at some point in time in my life, but it won't be because of anything I'm doing to myself today.
Yeah. So, if a friend came to you and said, "Okay, Michelle, I'm ready to give this a try. Tell me what to do." What
Yeah.
advice would you give them to based on your experience to maximize their chances of success?
I would I would first say, do you have a good enough of a reason? Because I think, like how you alluded to, it starts out with one thing, but it doesn't necessarily stay there. I feel like health, if it's health related, that is a really good reason. And to figure that out, to figure out your reason. If it's just because, you like the taste of meat and you don't like vegetables, I don't know that you're going to stick to it. Maybe you will. I don't know. But I think the first thing is to think about is what's your reason? And, like with my husband, his reason is that his wife tells him to do it. Not going to stick. So if you have a good enough of a reason, then once you start to experience your health transformation, you'll stick with it because you don't want to go back to who you were before you experienced all of those things. I'm at least a sane person wouldn't want to. But again, there's people who don't know that they have the wrong mindset, right? They don't know that they have to change who they were before they got better. They got to change their mind.
So, yeah, I think it's really, really important to have that reason
Hmm.
because if you're just going towards, I want to look better for that wedding I'm going to, or something like that, it's not that compelling. But if you're running, I get. I'm not sure where the emojis come from. I've got to put my hands down. So if you're running away from something, like
Hmm.
you've got a health thing, you just want to get rid of it. That's a much more motivating reason to stick with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really genuinely is. And I feel like people pick up on that. When you change who you are, you change your mentality, they pick up on that change in you, and they're like, what's different? It's not just that you lost weight, but there's something else too. So one of my kids was like, not one of my little kids, but one of the kids I serve with, she's like, Miss Michelle likes things that are real. I was like, real food. That's right. It needs to be real. And I told her it has to be real because I'm at an age now where anything I put in my body, if it's not real, can make me sick. You're youthful. You could put Takis in your body and survive. Not me.
Um, so where can people reach out to you? How can they find your Instagram?
Okay, so it's a play on words. I wasn't trying to make it super easy for people to find me, but it's called Ready Set Meat, and it's spelled RED_E_SET_meat MEAT.
Nice. Ready,
Yeah,
set, meet. Nice.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I'll link to that in the show notes. Michelle, really appreciate you coming back and letting us know how things are going, and it's great to hear that it's almost 3 years in.
I know, I know. I should have a big party when I hit my 3-year anniversary, but all I really want is a ribeye.